Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you so much to everybody who's watching us live on Facebook and watching us later. My name is Arin Kozemka. I am the Secretary of OII Europe, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all here today at the after party for the OII Europe's 5th birthday, which was yesterday. We had the party, and today is the time for the after party. And today we will focus on the OII Europe My Intersex Story brochure, our book and campaign. And now it's my pleasure to welcome awareness raising and campaigns officer of OII Europe in Sacramento, who will do a little presentation of the campaign and the brochure itself. And meanwhile, I will just share my screen so you could see some of Ince's incredible art. And Ince, please take it away.
Thank you, Irene. Oops, now see my window switched away again. Okay. Thanks. So I would like to introduce you to our 108 pages strong brochure, My Intersex Story, Personal Accounts by Intersex People Living in Europe, that contains 15 testimonies by intersex people and their families, and come with 15 colorful illustrations that you see right now on the screen. But I would like to first want to thank you, the people who contributed to this project with their personal accounts. They're incredibly brave, and we thank each and every one of them for agreeing to share their stories, because without their willingness to put those stories on paper, contributed to this project with their personal accounts. I hear myself. They're incredibly brave. Sorry, okay. So without the willingness to put those stories on paper, this book would have not been possible. The personal accounts in this book speak a clear and frank language about things that are often hard to talk about. They are very personal and subjective, but as Yannick Bastien-Charlebois points out in her wonderful text that is also included in the book, they are at the forefront of intersex activism and precious and valuable forces in our fight for dignity. The process of creating this brochure, from the initial plan to have a handful of testimonial quotes and a few pages in a few pages brochure, grew bigger over a period of almost 3 years of developing and finishing the final book. Over the time, we included additional testimonials, and the illustrations became much more intricate than they originally intended to be. With this publication, we aim to raise awareness and compassion to the realities and human rights abuses intersex people in Europe face. With each testimony, we are deciding on what and how much we want to share with the world, which is a crucial part of reclaiming dignity, integrity, autonomy in our lives and our human rights. From intersex elder to child, our testimonies are the evidence that the prevailing medical practices are indeed harmful and human rights violations. But they also show that intersex people are resilient, strong, and beautiful. You can find our campaign website from the 2019 Intersex Awareness Weeks under the link myiintersexstory.oieurope.org. I think they're also in the description.
Yes, in the description of the video.
Right. Where you will find all the campaign graphics that you see right now and all the other materials, and also a download link to the PDF version of this publication. So yeah, so far the introduction from my side, and I give back to Irene.
Thank you so much, Ince. Yes, this is true. The link to the campaign and to the brochure can be found in the description of the live video on Facebook. And now we will continue today with me and my friends reading out some of the stories from the brochure itself. We thought it would be very interesting to have some intersex people read out stories of other intersex people. So the first story that we will start today with will be read by Dan Christian Gattas, the Executive Director of OII Europe.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being with us today, and apologies that I cannot make it in person. I will read a testimony of a parent. The title is I, as a Parent, Made Choices That Should Not Have Been Mine to Make. In 1982, I gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl in Landspital in Reykjavik. I took the baby home, but a few weeks later it was discovered that she has a hernia and the operation was scheduled. I was told that the operation would not take long, but after about 3 hours I started to ask questions, but nobody seemed to know anything. The information I got was that she had been sent to surgery at scheduled time and that staff seemed surprised that the operation took so long. When I finally got to see her, I asked why the operation took so long, but I did not really get any answer. I had a very strange meeting with the surgeon before we went home, but put it down to bad people's skills. The only thing he said was that the operation went well, that the stitches would dissolve, and I did not need to bring her in for a checkup. The stitches did not dissolve, the wound got infected, and I had regular visits to the children's ward. During those visits, I started to get strange feelings that something was wrong. Finally, one doctor sat me down, told me that my baby had a very rare chromosomal disorder. They did not really know much about it, but there was a doctor that had been specializing in the US arriving shortly, and he would explain everything. I went home and waited. Finally, the doctor came, and as kindly as he could, explained that this so-called chromosomal disorder told me that she had undeveloped gonads that would need to be removed due to cancer risks, and they advised to do it before the age of 2. He stressed at all times that she was a girl in any respect. She would get a hormonal treatment to help her through puberty and could live a healthy life with a hormonal treatment, and the only thing she could not do was give birth to a child. But he also stressed that I should keep this a secret, not to tell my daughter till she started her treatment, as the information would be too much and she would not be able to keep it a secret when she was young. He also stressed that I should not even tell my closest family. My daughter had recurring hernia. At 3 months, she had another operation, and during that, the so-called undeveloped gonads were removed. 2005, years later, when we went to a meeting in a support group in the UK, I found out that what was removed were functional testes that would have given her all the hormones to lead a healthy life, and the cancer risk was based on research that was not applicable to her condition. I also found out that the statement of my baby living a healthy life with substitute hormones was not true. So the operation that I had allowed in the belief that it would be the only choice to secure a healthy life for my daughter actually ruined her health. On top of that, I had kept this a secret from my daughter, and her trust in me was completely broken when I finally told her. I learned that secrecy is the mother of shame. I'm not saying that the health profession were doing this out of anything but with the best intentions at the time. But 1996, when my niece was born with the same condition, the same procedure started, nothing had changed, operation at the age of a few weeks, no problem, they said. Artificial hormonal treatment will ensure healthy living. At that time, a change had started in treatment, and the advice was to leave the removal of testes, or what was always referred to as undeveloped gonads, till after puberty. If that had been done then, we would have had the knowledge when my niece reached puberty that there's absolutely no reason for this operation. We as a family had at least learned from my mistake in keeping secrets, and my niece knew from a very young age that she was intersex. We went to another support group meeting in the UK in 2012. At that meeting, we spoke to a doctor from University College London Hospital and got confirmation that the health problems both my daughter and niece were having were due to early medical intervention and mismanagement of hormonal treatments. When we started to ask questions and criticize the medical care we hit a brick wall, and at that time there was no good intention or compassion. Finally, we complained to the Directorate of Health just to get a doctor assigned to my niece, as she, at the age of 18, had been diagnosed with osteopenia. We are still fighting, both for better healthcare but also for the future intersex children. I, as a parent, made choices that I should not have been mine to make, and most definitely not the doctor's to make. I firmly believe that the intersex individual should be the only one allowed to make choices regarding their own body. There must be an end to unnecessary medical treatment and surgery of intersex individuals without their consent. We as parents should not have the right to give this consent. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Dan. It was very touching. Now I would like to invite Ins to please read out the next story.
Unmute. So. Okay, reading this story. It's called Change Society, Not Our Bodies. My intersex adventure started in 1958, right after I was born, when doctors noticed a genital ambiguity, but for the sake of convenience, very quickly decided to assign me female without even consulting my parents. Diagnosis PAIS. From that moment, the first interventions and treatments were scheduled and went on for all of my childhood and adolescence. As doctors had very little experience with this kind of cases at the time, and some gender theories were emerging, see John Money, they took the opportunity to turn me into a case study. They never thought it necessary to explain my situation to me, and they forbade my parents to reveal it. The consequence for me was annual hospitalizations during school vacations to assess my psychological state, sometimes combined with surgeries and other tests and treatments. The most shocking to me were medical examinations, as I was naked in front of the assistants and students, and the pictures they would take at such occasions, as if I were a freak in a circus. All of this without ever having been sick. Moreover, my parents were pressured into raising me as a girl, whereas I would have rather been a boy. To that end, I was sent to a girls' school and forced to study subjects I didn't like. As a result, I failed at school, and only as an adult could I take classes that suited me and allowed me to find a job. I also stopped feminizing treatment that I didn't tolerate well and resulted in an early osteoporosis. Since then, I have been taking masculinizing treatment and I feel comfortable in my own skin. It is difficult for me to accept my body as it is, and because of the various mutilations, my sexual life is very limited, non-existent even, and I end up pretty isolated, which is heavy on me and puts me regularly in a depressed state. Convinced I would have had a better future if I hadn't had to go through all of these unnecessary treatments. Because I was in good health, I was just different from most people. I got involved in activism because still now this practice is carried out with similar results as other intersex people testify. Change society, not our bodies.
This is so good. Thank you so much, Ins. Now, the next story will be read out by Finance and Administration Officer of OII Europe, Luan Pertl. And one moment, I'm giving Luan the floor.
Why did this happen to me, Dad? I remember asking this innocent question to my dad, sitting in a wheelchair in the parking lot of the hospital after my first vaginoplasty. I was 8. My body was still sore from the operation, and my mind and soul forever changed. I remember getting ready for an operation which was barely ever done before. I was a rare case, was I told. I remember the taste of the gallon of laxative I was forced to drink for my intestine to be clean. The smell of the strawberry balm they put under my nose before anesthesia, and I remember the burning pain when I went to the toilet. The question I have asked my worried father did not need an answer. Missing school on a regularly for weekly checkups and never-ending burning sensation when I would go to the toilet. I was a rare case. I had to see different doctors who wanted to see parts I did not want to show. No things I don't want to tell any grown-up man or woman for that matter. And I saw fear and questioning in the loving, sometimes teary eyes of my parents. I had a malformation in my tummy, was I told. I grew up believing I was the only one living this, and that belief I was lucky because my disorder was not visible. No one would ever have to know. It could be worse. I could have had one leg. With lots of self-reinforcement, I came to forget what happened, and I believed these were just nightmares. Until the day I met the first intersex person. It was love at the first sight. Their words were like mirrors to my soul. We became friends with high level of complicity, care, and attention. Yet at first it was scary. I was in a vulnerable situation, taking lifelong secrecy and shame away, peel after peel, like an onion. With the help of the intersex community, I then realized why this happened to me and the force of my question when I was 8. Why did this happen to me? This happened to me because society wanted it to happen. Bodies that do not conform to social standards and normality have to be corrected, surgically and or hormonally, in order for this pseudo-normality to stay untouched. We all are rare cases, keeping us apart, ashamed and in ignorance. Maybe ignorance is not bliss after all. It is important to create a movement today so the next generation do not have to go through the same intersex adventure. For past, present, and future generation to express themselves and make our existence as worthy as anyone else's.
Thank you so much, dear Luan. All of these stories are incredibly powerful, and it's absolutely impossible to not get emotional. I will just continue the slideshow now. And the last story for today will be read out by me. The story is called I Have a Dream for Future Intersex Children. This text is written by a parent of an intersex child. When an intersex baby is born, it will be welcomed by all. The medical profession will stop looking at it as a medical emergency. The parents will get the support to be able to understand and support their child. The parent will have a chance to meet other parents. The child will have to meet other intersex people. The people working in the health sector will be educated about intersex. Teachers from kindergarten and up will be educated about intersex. There will be no unnecessary medical treatment and surgery of intersex individuals without their fully informed consent. I just want to say so much for the person who wrote this dream, and I definitely am sharing this dream, and I want to say thank you so much for everyone who have contributed their stories, and I encourage everybody watching to really go to the campaign's website and to read the brochure and really read out those powerful stories of all intersex people and check out all the incredible art by Ins and all those powerful quotes, because our stories are really powerful and we need to be listened to. And also check out also the amazing chapter by Jeannick Bastien also at the end of this publication. I will be ending the Facebook live stream right now. And I just want to say thank you so much, everybody who joined today, both on Zoom and on Facebook, and to everyone who's watching this now. And yeah, thank you so much for being with us today at this after party. And thank you so much for taking the time to learn about lived experiences of intersex people. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you all will have a great evening. Thank you.